The following is an original audio series from Sierra International Machinery, Pile of Scrap, with your host, John Sacco.
Well, hello, and we're back here, and we're in Nashville for another episode of Pile of Scrap. And today I'm with the young guns, ISRI's young executives leading the charge for ISRI's future. And I'm really excited about this because it's new blood, it's youth. You know, I didn't get involved. Well, first let me introduce Chad Olgin, Sean Daoud, Jacqueline Lotzkar. Thank you for being here and agreeing to do this. I'm pumped up. I didn't get involved with ISRI until I was mid-30s, 36, okay? You guys, you're 30, but you've been involved for a couple of years. So all in the 20s, you're all involved, starting with you. Why?
Well, I'm fourth generation in my family's business, and I grew up in the industry, I like to say. And I've been hearing stories of ISRI pretty much my whole childhood. I attended my first convention when I was like 8. And pretty much as soon as I joined the company, my dad was like, off you go volunteer.
Awesome. You liking it?
I love it, yeah.
Sean?
I got involved for the experience, the networking with other individuals, the information sharing, the ability to ask questions and find out things that you may not be able to find out on your own through your own business. So I think that networking aspect of it has been phenomenal.
So far?
Love it.
Chad, what about you?
I'm also fourth generation.
Yeah.
I've been with ISRI now for 6 years. I love it. I like the youth aspect of, watching all of us and everybody else kind of grow up through the industry and grow in their family's business or whichever company they're at and kind of making a change.
Well, what's crazy is it didn't dawn on me before I asked you guys to do this. I did this because you're taking charge of the Young Executive Committee and you're getting involved with being chairmen, coming up in the new administration and getting involved with the different divisions. And we'll get to that in a second. But it dawned on me, I know every one of your parents. I know your grandfather.
Yeah.
We go way back. It didn't hit me. And I think it's great because I've known all of you. You were just born when I met your dad, and I don't know. I don't know if you were born when I first got to know your father and your grandfather, way back. And I think it's just great. As a former chairman, I look at, we always go, who's the new blood? Who's the young blood? And it was just like, there's nobody wanting to come up. And the three of you are doing it. And you guys restarted the Young Executive Committee. So who's the brain behind that? Who's the one getting that going again?
The idea was kind of spurring up, again, as I think we started to recognize that there were more, younger individuals starting to be more involved at ISRI and wanting to come up within their ranks within their own companies. And the idea just came from Lacey Capps, actually, and to kind of just get going again. Daryl Kendall was involved with it, and then obviously the three of us were kind of in those conversations. So.
Well, the Young Executive Committee years and years ago was a powerful stepping stone. I mean, just the young, a lot of, like Mark Luan was in it and, became chairman. I came in late to the game. I didn't know anything, but I got involved, and there was a lot of people who swore by it. And how's the recruitment coming? Are you guys getting more people involved? Is it growing? What's your struggles?
Yeah, I think it's growing. So in my own chapter, I'm seeing now that we have at least 2 people that are young that are wanting to get on the board, and they're excited for Young Exec, going to events, BYAB, Young Executive Committee meetings, coming to these functions. And we didn't have that 6 years ago when I started. I was begged to come in and be on the board, and I was the only young person there. And now we actually have multiple people that are younger that want to get involved, and so I think it's working.
How about in your area?
Yeah, no, us as well. I think we've got lots of young people starting to get involved, and networking is so important at ISRI, and I think a lot of the young executives are becoming really good friends as a result of it. So,
sure.
Those relationships last for a really long time.
Forever.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, and you're starting now that you see it already, but I've been doing this for a long time, if you will. It's reunion. I come here and you get to see your friends. Yeah. And that is so cool. All these years later, you get to be with your friends.
Yeah.
And friends all over the place. And I'm sure you guys already know this, they're a great resource already for you. Wait till that grows and you're going to have all these resources, people you can call, hey, what do you do with this? What do you do with that? That's what I found. So tell me a story, reach out, and from Young Exec that helped you in your business.
Oh gosh, there's so many. You can call up anybody and just say,
I want specific detail.
Well, Sean's a good friend here.
Okay.
And so we can chat at the beginning of every month and talk about prices. And, you're not going to call someone who's in your backyard, but,
right.
Someone a little farther away, you can definitely have those conversations with.
Give me a specific example, something in the networking of this. Silence.
Trying. I've got a couple of them. So Andrew Lincoln is a good friend. Obviously, we met through the association, and we had a bit of a pickle on a piece of equipment, and I called him up, asked him for his advice on something. Part of his family business was LeBaire parts, and it was a LeBaire, and so he gave us a little bit of insight of what to do and where to look for things, and within a couple of days, problem solved. So, even those small little details.
Uptime.
Yeah.
How good is that? How about you?
So I think a good example is little Phil, actually. So he calls me regularly about things with, we have a new client in Phoenix. They want to come check out your machines, since we have quite a few of your machines. And, it's those good connections, because whether we're at a ski function for my chapter meeting and we're having breakfast, or we're just kind of at a national function, it's nice to know that he's a familiar face and somebody that I can trust to, bounce ideas off of.
Well, it's critical for the future of this trade association to have this. So you're all supposed to be millennials, and I don't know what generation I am.
The professional millennials.
Huh?
We're the professional millennials.
Okay. Peers, you guys chose to be in the family business. A lot of people don't want to be in the family scrap business. Why did you choose this route? What was it that you saw that, yes, I'm going this route? You're all educated, so you're all incredibly intelligent people, and you said, I'm going to stay in this. Why?
I've watched my grandfather and my father grow their respective companies to what they wanted, and I loved the idea of being able to actually get in there and build something from the bottom up. And fortunately, I've had that ability in the past couple of years, and it's just been an amazing experience to be able to, work with the people you want to work with, hire who you want to, hire, and learn from everybody that's also doing everything that we're doing. The young exec has grown, and so I get to watch Sean and Jacqueline and everybody else we're all doing the same thing. So it's nice that at any point we could just call up and say, how'd you deal with that? And, they've had the same issue.
I'd echo much of that, and also it's the one business you can interact with any type of business, right? Mm-hmm. So whether it's a government agency that needs help recycling their filing cabinets, or a high-tech company that needs their hard drives destroyed, or you're just picking up scrap metal off the, in the woods from logging companies or demolition jobs, whatever it might be, but you get to interact with so many different types of businesses, and it's fun. One day you're working on the books, the balance sheet, whatever it might be, and the next day you might be running some equipment or meeting with a prospective employee, whatever it might be. You get a taste of everything.
And you, Jacqueline?
I think for me, my passion is travel and international business.
Okay.
And this industry is such a global, international industry. So the ability to travel and work with different cultures for me was super attractive. And then also we're literally saving the planet. So
Well, that's
cool.
Ed Kangater at Cass in his social media is saving the planet.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. So who's going to Istanbul for the BIR? Are you liking it? Are you going?
Hey, if you're inviting me, I'll come.
There's no invitation in. You should go.
Yeah.
No, all of you should go. I went to BIR years ago in the 90s and didn't know anybody and kind of, nah. And then as I became ISRI chair, it was like, you got to go. Mm-hmm. And I remember my first ISRI meeting BIR meeting was in Istanbul as I took the chair in April, and it was in May, and I remember going, oh man, I don't know anybody. And although I was ISRI chair, it opened a lot of doors and a lot of communications with people. And now I love going. Tom Bird, who's now the president, is a dear friend of mine. So I think if you love your international travel, any of you, it's a great perspective. And you get the international economists that we had. Where the hell were we? We were in Budapest. And fantastic. They had two economists that were amazing. One from Germany, one from France. And the guy from France was just comical in the way he delivered it, but very informational. So you like international travel, Jacqueline, I'd be going. I encourage both of you guys to see if you can make that trip, because I think the BIR is just an extension of ISRI, but now you're dealing with the other international markets. You're going to meet buyers. So I encourage you guys to do that. So got a new administration coming on. I don't know if it should be, it'll be public knowledge. I don't care. What's your function going to be going in when Brian steps down and Gary Chaplin steps in to be the new chairman of ISRI? What role are you going to take?
So I'm going to be working on the ferrous, the non-ferrous, and the government relations committees.
You're going to be busy. Mm-hmm. Government relations, brutal. I cannot stay awake in that committee. And when I was chair, I'd just sit there. Robin would always, this was so funny, Robin would always go and sit down at Starbucks in front of me right before, because that's the one committee where all this stuff just flying over my head. But good for you. Well, what about you, Sean?
Finance committee.
Your finance background, correct?
Yeah.
Are you a CPA?
No.
But you have a finance background from college, right?
Yeah, I have an undergrad in human resource management, but an MBA in finance, and then an undergrad in accounting.
You can be on the audit committee?
Haven't been asked.
Okay.
But
Well, eventually you
it.
will with that background. What about you?
Trade committee.
Trade committee.
Yeah,
Now, do you do the trading for your company?
I do. Yeah, I oversee our trade department.
Oh, then I'm going to see you in Istanbul. I think you should go. All right, so who are you guys recruiting coming in? Who are the next faces we're going to start seeing at this meeting? Tell me somebody who's coming in that you guys have been recruiting and that they're going to show up.
So one of the things that we've been working on within the committee is to have each chapter designate a liaison that would help us funnel more communications through the chapter level, get more involvement at the core level, the base level. And so this coming convention, we're hoping to see more of those liaisons come and be active and attend our functions. And so we'll see, I would say at least half of the chapters will have somebody there.
That's outstanding. That's great. I did a podcast with Robin, and I got a lot of positive feedback. And Robin said something, and I think that everybody, when you're trying to get people to join, why do you want to be involved? ISRI stops bad things from happening. That was her line. I just went, that was awesome.
It's a great line.
It is a great line because it's true.
Yeah.
There's so much things that, in the government and this, that, and the other, and, working with China and India and trade over there, and then, with BIR, with Tom Bird, and their Tom would be equivalent to Brian Shine, and I forget the name. It escapes me, the head of the BIR, but it's that communication, and it's as one we're going. So that's really cool, though, that more people are going to get involved. So, direction of this industry 5 years from now, what's going to change? What do you see different 5 years, 10 years, Jacqueline? What do you see different?
Hard to say. I mean, I think the environmental side of things is going to be at the forefront. The industry is always changing. We've been recycling, before recycling was even a word.
Right.
So I think, being able to adapt to changes is kind of our specialty. I don't know what I see necessarily, but I'm sure there's going to be lots of changes.
Anything in particular for you? Did you see different that you see, or maybe that you're going to want to change?
A lot of companies now are adapting right to the different international markets. That's where we're mostly exposed to, or at least us too. And I think you're going to see a lot more equipment, a lot more investment in those capabilities, and it's going to help with product quality. It's going to help with the ability to process different types of materials that we haven't been able to process before. So I think in the next 5 years, it's going to take a huge leap.
What about you? Because you're these guys are on the coast for export, and you're a little inland there in Arizona. What do you see different coming along?
I see a definition of recycling. So 5 years ago, when I would attend functions, they were very different. We would talk about how to grow the recycling industry, and now we're teaching people what the recycling industry is and trying to put a definition to that word. And so I think in the next 5-ish years, we should see people understanding what we really do, and that it's not waste, and that it's good for the environment, and that we're trying to save the planet.
Yeah, I find that fascinating. That's a good point, because our industry seems to be the industry that's always under attack.
Sure.
You're not doing this, and you're like, we're the ones. Without us, all this stuff would be in the gutters. Where would it go? Landfills? Without us, think about the mass contamination that would go throughout cities and across this world. And it's fact. So all three of you, metals, pretty much metals. What other non-metallic products now are you guys getting into? We have tire and rubber division, we have electronics division, we have paper division, and plastic. Any of you guys handle any of these other items now?
I work with cardboard and electronics.
Okay.
Same thing in some plastics.
We do cardboard, glass, plastics, electronics a little bit.
Yeah, we do cardboard. Cardboard's easy. because we all have the 2-ram balers, and I think cardboard really, it kind of like it flows. But we were heavy in plastic, as you know, and once China closed its store and Malaysia closed its store to plastic, well, we have just millions of pounds of ag plastic in our area, but we couldn't handle. There was no more value. There was nothing to do. Maybe the investment is putting in a washing line, but my dad always says shoemakers stick to making shoes, and I don't know anything about plastic. So, and at my age, I don't know if I will. So, what are you looking forward to the most about this convention coming up?
I think it's a really exciting convention. Speakers look awesome. Networking, the events. It's always a fun time.
So do you know Gary Vee?
I've heard of him before, yeah.
So are you out on social media?
Yeah.
So before I get to you on what you guys look for, I watched Gary Vee for about 1 minute. That's all I've ever watched. I know he's the guru of social media and content and all this. What struck me in the 1 minute I saw, he all says, you all have your phones. And if you aren't out there, if you're not putting yourself out there, you're irrelevant. I'm like, man, this is a new trick for me, social media. You kidding me? I used to think Facebook, Instagram, that's why we're my kids. Now my son, Dad, you're out there more than I am. I go, yes, son, I know, I got it, but it helps. What are you looking forward to at the convention?
The speakers are going to be fun. The ISRI talks seem very interesting.
Are any of you talking?
No.
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
No.
So,
but just that we haven't done something like that before, and to kind of give a little open forum to our members to speak and what they think is going to change in the industry, just the world in general. I think it's going to be a nice, different perspective and a change of pace for us. So we're not always gung-ho about what we're doing in our businesses. It could be a little fresh break, so be nice.
And you? What are you looking forward to?
I like the robust agenda. I like that it's new and it's a little bit more inclusive to everybody that's there. We have more council meetings and we just have more exposure.
Is that inclusive to the millennials? Do you find the programming is now more something you... Because, see, I don't know. I'll be busy in my booth, okay? And we're working on something ourselves, but is it the programming now fits more your eye, if you will?
Last year was great, right? I mean, the three of us got to participate in panels and whatnot, and last year with the focus on like more or less human resources, right? Kind of the people development. The way you recruit, the way you take care of your people today is different than it was 5 years ago, different than it was 50 years ago, right?
Right.
And so for us to open up discussions for how best practices can be done and what is working, it was a great event to be able to do that. So to continue that trend is pretty neat.
All right, so you're all in family businesses and you all have to deal with Dad. Okay, now I had to deal with my dad for a lot of years. I want to know a story where Dad said to do something and you thought he was wrong and then you came back and said, oh, dang it, he was right. We all have those.
Someone else go first.
Okay, I'll let Chad. Chad, you go.
Okay.
Come on.
So a time that he was right.
Yeah, when you thought he was wrong and it turned out he was right.
Oh man. I would say it is probably my dad's a Ferris guy, so his understanding of the Ferris markets is a little different than mine. He has 40 years more experience, so I think that gauging trends and understanding the ups and downs is something that he's just been around for so long that he understands what's happening. So when I would try to, hedge our bets and make sure that we had enough material to cover our order, he would always assure me to, don't panic, it's fine. This always happens, and he'll explain to me about something going on in the world and that it just rights itself. And I like to see how it's changing, and I'm not so familiar with the feeling that it's changing. And so I'm learning a little bit from him about just his exposure and why he feels like things are happening the way that they're happening.
Right on.
That was great.
You got a lot of dads in there. Your company, the way you're structured. So go ahead.
We have a few fathers. Yeah. So with my dad, I just got promoted to become a Ferris buyer or just scrap buyer in general in 2010. Anyways, got some photos and material, and I thought it was aluminum. He said, no, it's just sheet iron. And this was all the way out in just past Hermiston, and so I drove all the way out there. Thought it was gonna be a huge lot, 100,000 pounds plus. It's about 10,000 pounds, and it was just sheet iron. And I thought it was aluminum. And my dad could tell from photos.
Oh.
So, but wasted all that time out there. You learn quick. So
That's a great story.
Yeah.
He could look at it, and you're, oh, no, that's aluminum. That's great. That's good. What about you now? All right, we had to come up.
I mean, there's been lots of sink or swim kind of moments for me, I think. But my dad and I work pretty hard to like have discussions behind closed doors and then present a united front. So I wouldn't say that there was any like major failures or, him right, me wrong kind of things. Mm-hmm. But we work hard to be a good team.
Well, that's great. Yeah. I'll tell you a story. And it had to do with becoming an officer at ISRI. I went to my dad, and they had nominated me for be secretary treasurer. And I said, Dad, I don't think I have the time, and my dad looked at me and he goes, what's wrong with you? You take that in a second. You're going to be in the know. And he gave me this big old lecture, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll do it. But it's not going to be what he said. He was so spot on, learning about the stormwater, the safe. Mm-hmm. Being in the know was what was, for me, when you go through it, you go, you are in the know. And I would go to an ISRI meeting, hear all this stuff, be in the executive committee and know what's coming down the pike. I'd go back to Sierra and implement it. And he was spot on. Now, he probably would have hated the money we spent on stormwater, and we spent a lot of money, but we're compliant. Mm-hmm. And put the value on compliance. We spend this money. What are we spending the money for? So we don't get fined. We don't get revenue out of this, so we don't get fined. All right, which one of you three want to be an ISRI officer? Who wants to be a chairperson? I got to get the political correctness here. Who wants to be chairman of this place?
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'd like to.
Maybe down the line a little bit, yeah.
Why? Why down the line?
Gain a little more experience, I guess, first.
You grew up in this business. You've got it. You're smart. I would say, I would say, and I've heard that, when we went to recruit, when I was on the nominating committee and you went to talk, I can't do it, it's and you hear a gazillion excuses. You hear them all. Too young, too old, got a family, I had a family, I was young, and I don't know anything. I truly didn't when I got involved, but I don't think age is a barrier. That's what's so cool about sitting here with you guys. There's no barrier. You guys have no barrier. You're smart. You work your culos off, okay? You grew up in the business. You know this business better than most people. That's the beauty of being equity owners, if you will, in the family business when you grow up in it. Some of these companies, nothing wrong with it. They hire people from the outside to come in to whatever. You're now a buyer. They've never seen this with scrap metal. How are they going to know what to do? Yeah, they may be older, but that doesn't mean that they have more experience than you. So, all right, let's conclude this thing here. It's been a lot of fun for me. I'm excited because I love this. I really love the fact that I'm looking at the future leaders, and as a former chair, I can't pay attention anymore. I'm like burned out to every detail. I need you guys to pay attention and tell me what to do now. You up for that task?
Of course. We'll try. We'll take some advice too.
See what we can do.
Do you guys like Nashville? Is this a good place for? How about a convention? Do you think we should have a national convention here?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
Seems great.
It's a fun city.
Yeah. Well, I've just been here overnight, so I really don't. Same. I don't know anything about it, but okay, fine. Where would you have a convention? If you could have a convention anywhere, where would you like to have it?
Why don't you guys come back to Vancouver?
You know what? I love that convention.
I think everyone who came loved it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I haven't heard a bad thing from anyone who attended.
I thought Vancouver, as an exhibitor, we went into the convention hall and we asked for something, and the guy, oh, sure, no problem. You go to Vegas and ask one of those guys for something? We look at you like, yeah, right. And they keep going. Vancouver was a great one. How about you?
Probably too small, but I think Portland would be fun. It's a fun city, and the convention center is probably a little bit too small for the equipment. But
did you hear the story what happened to me when I was in Portland, when I came up to visit you at the ISRI board? So I'm at breakfast, 7 o'clock. I had just come in from Europe. So you're jet lagged, so I'm wide awake. So I go, I have breakfast. So I'm sitting there, getting my pancakes and eggs. All of a sudden, I feel this drop on my head, and then I see these spots of orange-red stuff coming on. What the hell? And the girl behind me starts screaming. There's a girl two down with a sriracha bottle squeezing in on everybody. A homeless person just going crazy on everybody. I'm like,
welcome to Portland.
Yeah, welcome
to Portland.
Now no more convention.
Yeah, no more convention square. What about you?
I like Vegas. I think it's easy. I know that that's probably a cliched answer, but I enjoy it. It's convenient for me. I think people like it as well.
I think Vegas is fantastic because it just offers everything.
Yeah.
From the restaurants. I mean, and then, when you finish at your dinner and you go back to the hotel or you're in the casino bars, there's a lot of people going. Mm-hmm. So there's still the after-hour action that I think we miss, like in Los Angeles or the off-city, but we'll see. But I enjoy it. All right. Well, listen, I want to thank you, three of you, for being here. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys keep up this push, and I want to see all three of you travel into the BIRs. I want to see all three of you an officer. I think it would be awesome one day to look at the officer's table and see this line where you're all in succession, because I think you all have the talent, the smarts, and more than anything, the want to do it. You want to do it. And I look forward to that day, and I thank all of you again, and that's it for another episode of Pile of Scrap.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
This has been a Sierra International Machinery original audio series. Thanks for listening. Please share this podcast and make sure to subscribe.